Hi, my name is Marta. I am a neurobiology and physiology major and a Spanish minor in my third year here at UMD. In this video, I'd like to discuss the topic of personal responsibility and making choices, specifically in regards to the prison population. I'd like to really analyze whether people in prison are responsible for where they're at in life, or whether society has a role in their situation. The idea of personal responsibility and this ability to choose has often served as a scapegoat for some of the underlying systemic problems that are the real cause of the high rates of incarceration that we've seen. You often hear people saying, well, I worked hard for where I am in life. I made the right choices. I was responsible. If they wanted a better outcome, they should have made the right choices. They should have been more responsible. This kind of thinking is so dangerous because it is disguised under the covers of the American motto or the American way of living. This kind of thinking lulls people into believing that they can be comfortable, even justified, in turning a blind eye to the marginalized. In this video, I will discuss 3 areas in which society bears the blame. The first is in regards to young children. At this stage, the psychological development of a child is in its critical stage. When generation after generation of your family is imprisoned, sometimes wrongfully, that begins to be a traumatic experience. It begins to affect your thinking, your mind, your hopes, your aspirations. And so just like the 2 young ladies we saw in the documentary Prison State, this can sometimes justifiably affect your behavior. And while some kids are met with the idea, kids will be kids, other kids are welcomed into zero tolerance schools. Eugene Puryear points out in his book Shackled and Chained that 17% of arrests in schools are because of a disruption in class. Instead of providing children with counseling, the school system funnels them into the prison system for something as petty as skipping school. In technicality, although the statement may be true to a degree that there's a level of responsibility in choosing to skip school, don't be fooled to believe that these kids are disrupting a world-renowned education. No, these are children whose neighborhoods have been the victim of structural violence, who live in food deserts, and who live in poor housing. These are the kids whose teachers don't have the resources and sometimes even the desire to provide them with what they deserve. So I ask, where are the choices here? Are there choices? Where's the ability or the chance to show personal responsibility? There are none. Second, I want to address mental illness. Puryear states in his book that 56% of state prisoners have recent history of mental illness, substance addiction, PTSD, just to name a few. Instead of providing such persons with treatment, we cage them as punishment. Let's look at the example of the veteran in the documentary. He made sacrifices in Vietnam for his country. And what do we say to people who've given their soul, parts of themselves, and have the audacity to be traumatized by that? We tell them suffering is a crime punishable by years in prison. What a betrayal. The last topic I want to discuss is that of reentry and recidivism. Ex-offenders are released oftentimes with only the clothes on their back, with no access to public housing, and as Diva Pager pointed out in her book Marked, very little chances of securing a job. They're not even given medicine on which their lives depend. In the video, in the documentary Prison State, we see a parole officer expressing her disappointment with one of the prisoners who she thought was genuine, but that she later decided no longer merited that title because he didn't check in with her on one of the days. To her, I'd like to explain the hierarchy of needs. When a person doesn't have food, shelter, medicine, that our capitalist society has stripped them of, what do you expect them to do? Do you expect them to meet their primary needs, Or do you expect them to make your 5 o'clock appointment? You expect them to meet your draconian needs? Really? Are there choices here? Is there an opportunity to be responsible here? No, there are none. With this video, I hope you come to understand the illusion of choice and responsibility in this country. I hope you see that we as a society have stripped this basic human right from thousands of people. And once you recognize where the blame is, I hope you're moved to make a change. This change can be as small as recognizing that there exists impossible environments for some people in our society, that not all of us are given the same choice, and not all of us are given even the right or the opportunity or the choice to be responsible.